Good morning. There's heaven in my heart. I'm not sure it's in my voice, but if you'll just all see Spirit opening this up so that you can hear me and I can share with you. You know, I shared with a couple people this morning that one of the things about this cleansing that I'm going through, I didn't have a voice until yesterday. So from last Sunday, I really was quiet. I didn't speak. I couldn't talk on the phone, and so that brings a myriad of opportunities for Spirit to come in and beautiful meditations and dreams. And so maybe there's a little more heaven than I thought. So today we've joined together for a celebration of light. Together, we've all just walked through a whole season of celebrations, right? We started with Thanksgiving, celebrating our blessings and maybe gathering together with family and enjoying some good food. Then we moved into Advent, that season of preparing for the celebration of the birth of Christ, not only in that, that he was born, but that birth within us, that expansion within us of that Christ energy. We celebrated faith, peace, love, and joy during that season of Advent. And then we celebrated the dawning of a new year, which brings us into the energy of possibility. Last Sunday at our annual Burning Bowl service, I began with this statement. I may not know you all very well, but I know you possess two things. You possess genius, and you are brave. I know you are brave because you came here to step into some unknown, unfelt, untried goodness. And I know that you possess genius because you would not have done that unless you sensed that there was greater possibility for you. And you were open to that expansion. So with all that in mind, a few weeks back, this idea of celebration of light started to grow within me. And coincidentally, we're just about at 2 years celebrating this community being formed. So we have a lot to celebrate. I want to focus today on the way that the study of truth principles that we've entered into has affected our lives in a real, concrete way. The joining together in this community and the sharing of our personal stories is a great support for that growth and expansion. I then put out a call to you to share your stories of those experiences that you've opened yourself to. Those experiences of Spirit that come with being a part of a community, studying and practicing truth principles. I might have told you that I've set my intention for my ministry many years ago to inspire. This time you inspired me, and I'm deeply grateful. You touched my heart with your openness and your willingness to be vulnerable. Brene Brown states in her book, Rising Strong, that vulnerability is the step into greater expansion and love. I pray that the stories that you hear today will bring you more and more expansion. As I just always love, like one of my favorite things is to hear people's stories. I find it so inspirational to then know that this stuff is real, Some of you know that I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I'm very grateful for that, because I think I came to this lifetime with an innate sense of the spiritual in me. And so, since my family was dedicated to a faith practice, that fed that. And that worked really well until, excuse me, until as I came into adulthood, I just became disenchanted with that rigidity the rules, you know. And at the time, Dan and I were married, and we used to drive an hour sometimes where we lived in New Jersey, right, to go to a church where it was a Catholic church, but they were giving us practical application of what they were teaching. And then eventually we stepped out of that and found unity. Many of us, when we find unity, report, I don't know what it was, but I just felt so at home. And what is that at home feeling? That at home feeling is you're with like-minded people, like-hearted people, and you know that you are fully loved and accepted right where you are, and you're supported in your faith journey. And it doesn't have to be these rules and this belief. Unity allows us to open and experience and express all the facets of spirit. One of the things that I was really touched by entering unity was the metaphysical interpretation of Bible stories. We haven't heard too much of that in recent years, but if you're interested, look into that, because there are beautiful symbols in those stories that give greater depth and meaning. And that really spoke to me in unity. One of our congregants shared her story about finding unity. She said that she was raised in a Baptist church that did not teach of the beautiful, loving God she felt in her heart. She said, there were moments in my adult life where I sensed the power, beauty, inspiration, and unity of divine spirit, though I was not attending any church. How could one stand on the rim of the Grand Canyon without experiencing the magnificence and beauty of creation? Or while gratefully acknowledging the healing spirit through physical trials? Hearing a Brahms symphony, all the musicians coming together as one, breathing and speaking together, or holding for the first moment a newborn child. This is the touch of spirit that we share. And we seek to expand it in our lives through our spiritual journey. A former congregant of mine responded to this request for stories of spirit working in his life with this story. He said, I was a freshman in high school. For the first time, I joined the basketball team. At the time, I hadn't played basketball before and wasn't that good. We were running through a play as the coach showed us when I caught the ball at the foul line, turned and shot the ball. As soon as the ball left my hands, the coach yelled out, "Not you." The ball went in, and then he said, "Nice shot." But all I heard was "not you." I quit basketball because of that. Through our thoughts, words, and actions, we live in the reality we know. While I'm still not able to do it all the time, not allowing others to change my thoughts and actions has changed my life. It ties into the third unity principle as well. We are co-creators with God, working to co-create my life through my thoughts, words, and actions, trying to create my life from what's in my heart, not from what others have to say. I find that the community here supports me in taking personal responsibility for the course of my life, and in always reminding me of my infinite possibilities. That's a shift, isn't it? It's a great shift from what the world, and maybe even our families, out of love and protection, said, there's limits, you can't do that. So let's revisit, or I don't know if we ever did visit it, the metaphysical meaning of faith. The perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. Spiritual assurance, the power to do the seemingly impossible. It is a magnetic power that draws unto us our heart's desire from the invisible spiritual substance. Participating in a faith community strengthens our inclinations to have faith, as well as to give and receive and to know the expansion of spirit in our lives. So many times when we face a health challenge or a loved one does, we have a faith community that reminds us of possibility, not of limitation. I was also deeply touched by the story I'm about to share with you. It comes from a congregant who shall go unnamed, who I was told had manifested many things in her life. So I reached out to her, and I asked her if she wanted to share a story of manifestation. She replied yes, there were many stories of manifestation in her life, but that's not what she wanted to share. She went on to say that the real story was how she learned to love herself. There are many years of challenge in her story, but the key elements are that she lived many years in an abusive marriage with someone who she came to see didn't know her or respect those things that she held dear. Sometimes fear ruled her. She would make a plan to leave. She'd get everything all set up and in line, and then she would back out, telling herself it just wasn't the right time. She and her husband came to a place of simply coexisting. She went to her yoga classes, studied Course in Miracles and other spiritual books, and spent every night alone in her room. One day it became clear to her that living in this kind of confinement with a person who did not respect and truly love her was not loving to herself. That realization gave her the strength to leave and create a new life where she could express the love and God energy that was at the core of her living a free and full life. I loved her story because loving oneself is the cornerstone to full living. And because many of us struggle with that issue. Louise Hay, one of the most prominent spiritual teachers, said that all she ever worked with clients was teaching them, helping them to learn to love themselves. That was the only focus. She said it's the basis of all health and happiness. Often I've heard testimony from people in the community and stories of healing like this one. Alone on a cold, rainy, and otherwise dreary day, I lay in my hospital bed, stunned by the news just delivered by my neurologist. I had suffered not one, but 4 strokes. He announced that speech and physical therapy would help me to come back, and then he left. The tears flowing, I closed my eyes and said, God, I can't do this alone. Please help me. Though no one was in the room, I felt something squeeze my hand. A sense of peace filled me, and the room seemed brighter. Since that time, and through more than a dozen strokes, TIAs with the requisite speech and physical therapy, as well as multiple heart attacks and stents, whenever I might need assurance that all is well, I remember that day and that feeling, and I know that all is well with my soul. When we come together in community, we benefit from faith and strength of like-minded people here. One congregant put it this way: what I especially treasure is the opportunity to gather together weekly with like-minded spirits in a community of gratitude, hope, and renewal. I am not alone. There are others who share and support our sense of the omnipresence and omnipotence of that which is far greater than any one of us, yet knowing that we are part of that greatness and wholeness together. Magnificent temples and cathedrals may touch us with a sense of the sacred, but the energy of our little community is equally powerful and moving for me. I found that so significant because, as we know, many of the people we encounter on a daily basis tend not to be radiating their potential of light. Yeah, we're all there sometimes or another, right? So it can get easy to get off track and to get pulled back into that thinking, oh my God, this is terrible, oh this, oh that, but we have this community. Whether we're together in this room or whether we're out in the community at large, we know that we have like-minded people. Sometimes a voice, something somebody said will come back to me and it will remind me just at the right moment of where my thinking needs to be corrected. We have another beautiful soul here that shared a story that she weekly goes to a Reiki share. A Reiki share, people gather together to give and receive healing energy through Reiki. And she told me that she goes, but mostly she went to sit and just absorb the energy that was there. She wasn't the one giving it. But I think more than once, a woman who attended regularly came up to her and said, "Thank you. I can feel your energy. Thank you for being here." So just by being in that space, she was radiating an energy that touched other folks. And actually, that's personally one of my goals in this lifetime. And I think you've heard me say that I daily say the prayer, may I be a positive presence to everyone whose life I touch. Not even words do we need, but our energy and the presence of our love and our open heart touches those around us. So in my life, this is the thing that inspires me the most, is reading stories of people who have passed through and have used their, we can call them unity principles, but truth with a capital T, their positive thoughts, energy, and actions to move through the transitions in their lives in a positive way, and maybe to lift someone else. Today, my hope is that you have also been uplifted by the stories and the songs that we shared. The connection we feel in our hearts, it never goes away. In years to come, we will always think back and remember this time and the energy and the love, the community and the camaraderie and the laughter of this community, and it will lift us up. Through this connectedness with each other and with our higher selves, that we experience more love and more inspiration, and therefore we increase the light in the world. God knows we need to do that, don't we? The creative power available to us is infinite. We have the power, but we must choose how we will express it in our lives. We manifest through positive affirmations and deep faith that in the unseen, our every desire is fulfilled in a perfect way. If you're like me, you've had times when that did not feel true. You try, and it just seems like what you've worked for and longed for is elusive. Every spiritual master has experienced times like that. Darkness and confusion. The difference is that they refused to believe that the darkness was real. They insisted that only the light was real. During dark times, the call is to go even deeper, tuning into our spiritual guidance system. SGS, not GPS. And as we go within, we begin to see where we have misdirected our energy. Have we focused more on lack than affirming infinite abundance? Have we put more energy into bemoaning illness or difficulty than on connecting with perfect, radiant health? Michael Beckwith puts it this way: contemplate the truth that you and I stand as a midpoint between heaven and earth, with access to a nexus of divine creativity. Right now, you have not only the ability, but the responsibility to exercise your God-given freedom to live life at your highest level of creativity. Today we celebrate ourselves as creative beings, and especially we celebrate the support of this community in following the path of Christ consciousness into the expression of more and more light. Namaste, my friends. Part of the blessing of this week is I was given a meditation to share with you today. So if you will, center yourselves, become very still and quiet. Just moving deeply into the quiet. Taking some deep breaths and letting go of everything but this moment. Begin to feel the beautiful oneness that we sang about in the family song this morning. This community is family at the highest expression. Breathe in that love and that support. Move a little more deeply into the quiet. And begin to imagine that you're walking through a beautiful landscape. Whatever feels most wonderful to you. A forest, a mountain, a field. And up ahead, there's light. There's just this light that's catching your attention. You're not sure what it is yet. You keep walking toward it. And you see that it is a shining pool. As you move closer, you see that it is the most clear, beautiful, radiant pool you could ever imagine. You stand in awe at the edge now. And as you contemplate the immaculate presence of this, you are held on either side by two beings of light. And as you step forward, they step with you, and you enter into this pool of light. The feeling is indescribable. Notice as this pool of light engulfs and embraces every part of your being. You are cleansed, inside and out. Releasing all habits, all disease, all negativity of every kind. You've never felt so pure, so whole, so clear, and so at one with the perfect divine energy. I invite you now to just take a few minutes in the silence, exploring what this brings to you, this infinite, immaculate light. You are free. You are unlimited. All limitations and fear are released. When the time is right, you begin to emerge. You have the safety and assurance of those beings of light at either side. And you slowly, slowly move back into this present moment, this place in time and space, forever changed. With that radiant light shining even more perfectly and radiantly than it did a moment ago. And we say thank you, thank you. Thank you, O gentle, loving Spirit. And so it is.